American, pal, just like you.
If you ever played Call of Duty, you are gonna know this. Sometimes you just load into a map and immediately you hear the announcer listing a bunch of score streaks that are gonna kill you in the next 10 seconds as soon as you spawn in. Enemy UAV in the air, enemy chopper gunner inbound, enemy cruise missile inbound. You choose the class and as soon as you spawn in, there are 3 guys aiming at you. You can't even get out of your spawn to shoot back. In first-person shooter games, this is called spawn trap. And really, this happens in real life as well, with much bigger brutality. Spawn point pill. This is a very underrated topic in our community, man. I mean, I haven't made a video about it because this doesn't really apply to us. The vast majority of my viewers are from the West. Like, it doesn't apply to 80% of us. But I really do feel for the viewers who have to live in those countries where they not only get to experience the MOG daily, but they have to break their backs 16, 17 hours a day. And for what? $10 a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, with no way out too, because their economy is crap. They can't get a visa to move anywhere else. And guys, make no mistake, this is not comparable to being born in the poor parts of the West. You still have access to opportunities, even if you grow up in the projects, even if you are living in some dump. At least you can move.
I'm not gonna lie, I could never lose aura, chat. I'm from the projects, roaches and mice and cereal, shit like that. Like, I come from the bottom. When you from the bottom, you can't lose aura. You feel me? I'm winning. I don't even know how I got here. God. Straight up. I could never lose aura. I come from Salvation Army, welfare checks, soup kitchens, free lunch. You couldn't even eat if you ain't go to free lunch in my neighborhood. That's the only way you had lunch. Like, that's where I come from. I could never lose aura. I'm letting y'all know that right now.
That is one thing that a lot of us take for granted. Just the ability to geomax. Even ethnics in the West, you still have the option to geomax. Still have it better than the majority of the world. And I don't believe in all that naive romanticization of the poor countries. I remember when I said something like this in class. Back in high school, the teacher had scolded me. Oh, yeah, only monetarily, financially. They might be living simple lives, but they also spend less. They are not worse countries, never worded like that. A lot of people have that liberal romanticization. Oh bro, they are just carefree people, just chilling, sipping mojito under a tree. No dude. Being born in the wrong side of this earth, which is like easily 70%, at least 70% of the world, is very much like loading into a Call of Duty lobby. That is already stumped to pieces. The moment you spawn in, you hear the announcer listing a bunch of score streaks that are gonna destroy you as soon as you spawn in. You are gonna be feeling like, dude, just get me out of this lobby, man. I can't even be bothered. I mean, at least in Call of Duty, you can just quit and queue for another game. In real life, there is no queue for another game. There is no skill-based matchmaking. If you wanna move to another country legally, it is basically impossible. Spawn point pill is really underrated, man. I was watching this video, a viewer recommended to me the other day. I mean, this topic was on my mind for a while, but the guy really nailed it in some parts. I'm gonna play some sections from that.
This is an aerial view of the city of Cairo. It has within itself over 22 million inhabitants, more than the combined population of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark.
Brutal, man. This is just brutal. Imagine living in one of those places. It is like a post-apocalyptic world where there is only survival and nothing else. Those kind of places are where manosphere advice still makes sense. That advice of, oh, just make money, bro. Because money is a lot more important in these places, bro. Just look at this. But the problem is how? How? When the economy is trash, even if you find a job, how much is it gonna pay? Oh, dude, I found my dream job. How much does it pay? 400 a month, while working 17 hours a day. Like, what do you do if you spawn into life in there, in one of these apartments? And the tragic thing is, even if someone like, let's say Steve Jobs was born there, he would have lived an insignificant life. Wouldn't matter how smart or hardworking you are. It all would have been for nothing. Nothing, guys.
They don't manufacture innovation, they just endlessly produce humans and waste. These megacities are human existence reduced to the most basic level.
I mean, maybe it used to make more sense in the past. You know, in rural areas, children are seen as an asset. Asset you can use in agriculture. Basically free workers. But it doesn't change the fact that they reproduce just because. Even people in the cities who can't take care of their children. I mean, it is completely unnecessary. Just creates more suffering, increases the burden on the existing population, who are already suffering. In Egypt, for example, the fertility rate is so high, still so high. Even in the cities where you can't use your children as free farmers. It is not necessarily a bad thing to have high fertility rates in itself, but problem is when you can't provide infrastructure, you can't provide proper education, you can't provide employment, you can't provide healthcare. The problem is that, guys, like, let me put it this way. In the year 2000, only 25 years ago, Egypt and Italy had the same population. Same population. And now, guess, imagine the difference now. Now Egypt has twice of Italy. Twice, bro. Just think about that. How insane it is. What he said is true. You are just gonna end up with people's lives being reduced to the most basic form. How are you gonna feed all those people? How are you gonna find them jobs? How are you gonna educate them? How are you gonna provide health?
No sane person would voluntarily live in a place that looks like this if they had a choice. But that's the thing, people living there don't have a choice.
He's right here too. I mean, in the video, he's kind of wilding. He's a white nationalist, obviously. He's using umbrella terms a bit too easily, cherry picking, showing the most crowded, most rundown cities. But still, the point he's trying to make, attempting to make, has some validity to it. I've been to a lot of countries. The poverty is real, guys. Sometimes I would feel bad. The dude would be bringing me food for literally $1 or $2. You can't help but feel some kind of way, man. Once, I remember I tipped the guy nearly as much as I paid for the food. It was like I bought one for myself and one for him. And it still wouldn't even make $5, everything combined. The dude was bringing me food in the rain, drenched in water, making piss all money. I would feel guilty, man. That undeserved advantage that I had. You know it, he knows it. Both of you know that you couldn't make it in your own country. And now trying to pass the bill, hypergamy bill to him, like playing hot potato. Both of you know what's up. That is why that Asian guy in the subway was raging so hard. I believe that is how most dudes in those countries feel. They just can't be as low inhibition as him. Everybody knows what's up when they see cute girls walking with sub-5 Geomaxers.
就像你有这个暑假无法改变，你要怎么让外国人喜欢你？没有啊。
Imagine if I was some normie with a girl there. You are soaking wet from rain, delivering food for $1 or 50 cents, not even $1, and some sub-5 Westerner living like a good lifer in your own country opens the door. And there is also a hot girl of your own nation that you are supposed to be dating. I mean, luckily for that guy, I am just a sub-5 loner. But just imagine the scene, guys. It wasn't me, but I am just drawing a picture. Imagine you are a delivery driver, soaking wet from rain. You go to a house. Some Geomaxer, sub-5 Geomaxer opens the door. Inside, there's a cute girl of your nation, hanging out half naked. How are you gonna feel, bro? And then the sub-5 is gonna be like, cool, here is your 50-cent tip. Don't ever forget this. Did you say thank you? What was that? Now go do your next delivery. And before you go, you see her? Yeah, I will deliver something myself. I mean, just brutal, guys. Just brutal. I would always feel some kind of shame. Sometimes I wonder if they sip it in the food when they see the foreigner name on the order. I would totally get it, man, you know. I wouldn't even blame them. Because these guys are trapped. Trapped, bro. Normies are gonna say stuff like, oh, dude, they are happier than you, yep. You worry about yourself. Not true. Maybe happier than me. There is an exemption. Life ain't some Hollywood movie. Don't be like my boomer high school teacher. There ain't nothing good about rotting in the slums. Seeing your mother, father wither away, die from preventable issues. They started to realize how much they are getting mocked. They see those old dudes, sub-5 dudes getting girls, while they have to break their backs, working 16 hours a day. How do you think they are gonna feel, bro? And you gotta try to see it from women's perspective also. When you are weak, when your economy is weak, and those women see how foreigner men come into your country and live like kings, you have to serve those sub-5 men, and your own men who are supposed to protect you cannot do that. Of course you are gonna feel some kind of way. It is important that you understand this dynamic, bro. Sure, most of it is looks, genuine attraction, height. That is the bigger reason. But this angle also plays a role. They will have a lack of respect. And this is not country specific. When your country gets invaded economically or militarily or culturally, that is the result you are going to get. So this isn't only exclusive to Asia. Looks, sure, are the biggest part of it, but it ain't the only reason.
This is why they come to Cambodia. I am currently in Cambodia's city of old white men. They're roaming everywhere looking for a Cambodian woman. I actually feel bad. I don't want to film any of the girls because they genuinely don't want to be here. They're only here to make money and try and provide for their family. Look, we got the boys on tour right here. Look, we've got another old mate cracking on over here. It's genuinely taking advantage of women who are in a lesser fortunate scenario in the world and just paying them off for their bodies. That is absolutely horrible.
And guys, I gotta say this too. I was watching this TikTok during editing. Like, this is one of the things that bothers me the most. Those guys going there to mug geomaxers. Bro, you shouldn't even be there. You often come across these guys. You're gonna remember Aston Wayne was like that. Oh, I love mugging geomaxers. You shouldn't even be here, bro. Sub 5 men or old men, whatever, they go there because they have no other option.
Well, these three features that I've picked function sort of like a litmus test, something all third world megacities have. These power lines are just strewn from building to building haphazardly, a future nightmare for any electrician. What am I even talking about, electrician? This whole line has probably been installed and maintained by a single brave brown guy wearing flip-flops.
It is not even on the power lines. Sadly and unfortunately, there is a level of unseriousness in all the undeveloped countries I have been to. You know, tangled power lines, people not following the rules. I mean, rules are basically suggestions. Let's be real, nobody cares about them. It is just this chaos that you don't see in the Western countries. All the non-Western countries that I have been to had this chaos I am talking about. The only exception to this was Japan and Korea. That is why a lot of accidents happen in those countries, those freak accidents, because everybody is trying to cut corners. Everybody, bro. One theory I remember reading about this back in college was that, you know, since these people live in hot climates, they are more relaxed. And that is why those people in hot places are lazy. Oh, they are just chilling under a tree, sipping a mojito. No, bro. Don't blame the sun. My theory is this. I think once you are living in those conditions with no way out, no realistic way out, you just stop caring. They realize that they are just trapped in that life, and that's that. They just stop caring altogether. Stop trying to change their country. For what? Corruption to teeth. Everybody is already ignoring the laws, even if you follow them. So you grow up to be jaded and despondent.
You know, I mean, it is what it is, you know. That's the attitude I got. Fuck it, you know. And I feel that's the right attitude to have, you know. You
do what everybody else does. Just go with it. You try to cut corners. You stop paying attention. And that's the name of the game. For example, there's probably some legislations regarding the power lines for this image in this country. This is likely against their laws. But like I said, laws and rules are just suggestions in the third world. What are you gonna do?
Second typical feature is the hell intersection. Another element of the hell intersection is the lack of traffic lights, or a complete disregard of them, and the people just walking in the street on foot completely at random, sometimes with animals.
Yes, this too. I mean, all these points stem from people just not caring, rules not being followed. Again, there is probably some laws to stop this from happening, but what are you gonna do when people just don't respect them? The state can put crossing lines there, but what good is it if people don't respect it? If you're in the Western Europe, you can just confidently cross the street where there is a crossing lines, knowing that the drivers are gonna respect it. You do that in other countries, in third world countries, you are gonna get run over.
And lastly, the cityscape itself. The buildings built on top of previously existing structures. Nothing is zoned, nothing is safe. If the building collapses, so be it. The absolute disregard of the common man in these cities is mirrored in the awfulness of the buildings. Exposed raw brick everywhere. Each living quarter, each apartment is like tacked onto the building, looking like freak patchwork. Old colonial buildings are neglected and butchered, while the new ones are unfinished and raw. These third world cities either end up looking like a uniform dystopian nightmare.
It is brutal, but he's right here also. That is why when there's an earthquake or a natural disaster in those countries, so many people die. Because everything is so unorganized. Even if there are rules and legislations, nobody cares about them. People cut corners. All because of corruption. He's just listing visible results, not the cause. I mean, I know nepotism and corruption happen even in the most egalitarian Western societies, but it is really a whole other level in the third world, where it is the norm actually. And the biggest reason for this is not the IQ difference, but this culture and mentality. By the way, I am not saying there are no IQ differences between different nations, different countries, but the main reason is this, bro. All that unseriousness, the lack of order, is gonna stop any type of productivity, any type of efficiency. It is not a productive culture. Dog eat dog mentality everywhere. Laws are just suggestions. Government institutions are failing at every single level because, all the public servants were hired based on nepotism rather than merit. You can't get to anywhere in life if you don't know people. Even if you are an outlier with special abilities and talents, it won't even matter. You won't be given opportunities because of this nepotism and corruption. For example, like the local district attorney is gonna turn out to be some party man who never even stepped in a law school, a high school dropout. Every single government institution is shaped like this, from top to bottom, from janitor to director. I mean, I can talk about these issues a lot more in detail, but I don't want to make this a 7-hour-long MTA video. I try to keep my videos under 30 minutes.
What makes the third world megacity truly a hellish place is the fact that they are symptomatic of the people inhabiting them being worthless, interchangeable economic units. The supply of workers is endless, forever replenishable, and so the average worker is entirely expendable. In a city that looks like this, you hold no value as an individual. You're just another set of hands to be put to labor. Alchmerophobia is a fear of losing all your worth in a society and being seen as a laborer and not a human.
A viewer recommended this to me, this video. I mean, this guy has some political agenda, obviously. It is a politics video, but some of the stuff he says there about the third world is unfortunately true. He's cherry-picking a bit, showing the worst parts, but still, he's right. And the tragic part is this. A lot of people just have no way out of it. Even if they are smart and ambitious, opportunities won't be there. When you have 4 sisters, when you gotta spend your most productive, most formative years delivering food to some sub-5 balding geomaxer, just to put food on the table, just to feed your family. What are you gonna do, bruh? What are you gonna do? Oh, learn coding on your own and make millions by selling apps. Not so easy when you have family members depending on you. That is why I say IQ ain't the most important factor in life. Neither is hardworking, but luck. Your spawn point where you spawned into this life is a lot more important than both IQ and hard work. Both of them. The only thing that matters more is looks. That line, anatomy is destiny. I change it to anatomy and geography is destiny, bro. You gotta add geography there, because a lot of people in life are just spawn trapped. When your spawn point is some place where the currency ain't worth the paper it is printed on, where your passport closes doors instead of opening them, what are you gonna do? This is something we really take for granted, man. In a way, we are privileged like women are in the dating market. This hits you whenever you visit countries that are not Japan and Korea. This is why I say, man, Geomax. Even if you can't get girls, which you likely will, let's be real, you are not, you will. But even if you can't get that, at least you are gonna get some insight and perspective, especially if you have never done it before. Sure, you can watch some videos online too, but it is not the same as being there. It really makes you somewhat grateful. It puts things into perspective. If you are 5'10", for example, you are gonna height mock a lot of people. It is gonna remind you of the importance of height once again. When you enter a room and you height mock everybody, that dopamine hits different, bro. You feel confident all of a sudden. Even the way you walk changes. And I don't mean this as some kind of asshole way, being cocky, being arrogant, but in a happy, outgoing manner. All of a sudden you feel extroverted. Guys, all my life, I had thought that I was introverted. Turns out I was just short. I realized this the first time during my trip to Asia years ago. Back then I wasn't in the lookism circles. I was still in college. I was still in my normie maxing, jester maxing years. You come to realize that even the way you talk, you walk is different. Everything I did, I started to do them with more confidence, with way lower inhibitions, When you're in a place where you are taller than most males, you are just more extroverted all of a sudden. Everything you do with more confidence. You can only be as confident as your looks, guys. Let me say this again. You can only be as confident as your looks. Or yeah, hear this, bro. I took a personality test. Turns out I am INTP. INTP, everything makes sense now. Dude, spare me all that BS. All that INTP stuff. You are just short. You are just sub 5, bro. That's all there is to it. Don't overcomplicate that. But enough rambling, guys. I'm gonna talk to you in the next video. Until then, don't be a free agent in life.
Just like me.